I called it the December solstice. I was like wanting to go back and forth between Capricorn solstice and winter solstice, but we're live and it is working. Because just depending upon the hemisphere, it's going to be summer solstice for some people, winter solstice for some people. So I've been looking for new words to talk about solstice, and I like Capricorn solstice because in the wheel of the year, Capricorn has a specific energy to it that can relate to either of the hemispheres. So let's go ahead. I have my friend Eric here.
Hello, everyone. Eric
Eric
Taylor, Tailored to You Astrology. I am so honored to be here on this amazing channel with you, Miss Anjani, Awaken the Dream School, which is, by the way, one of my favorite names for like a YouTube channel.
Well, and also because you know my astrology, so it makes sense to it makes sense to where my alignments are and what I'm doing out here in the world.
It definitely does.
Yeah. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to cover the wheel of the year and talk about the solstice points as they relate to our physical body. So in Tantra Yoga, there's breathing practices that we do that enliven these different parts of our body that co-respond with the cosmos. So I'm going to cover that, and then we are going to hear from the wonderful Eric about Capricorn as an archetype, because Eric has a Capricorn moon and is very expert on the topic. So just wherever your moon is, the sign that your moon is in, this is going to be an area of your natural expertise. So when I say that Eric is an expert in Capricorn, I really mean that because of that Capricorn moon. Definitely. And there is an opposition with the Capricorn moon, Capricorn being what we're going to call Capricorn solstice. And then right in opposition to that, or in resonant polarity, we have Cancer solstice. Cancer being in our hemisphere, the summer solstice or Cancer solstice. So we're going to get into that. And then I'm really excited to hear, we'll kind of riff after Eric talks, we're going to riff a little bit off of Saturn. I have a strong Saturn complex on my chart. I feel very Saturnine a lot of the time. So it's one of my favorite planetary forces to work with and to talk about. So Eric, do you want to say anything before I get started talking about the wheel of the year?
Well, I just want to let everyone know that we both have our Saturn and Earth signs. So I think that's relevant. Taurus for me, Virgo for you. And our moons are in opposition, which is a really great energy for us to actually work together. You're the Cancer moon and I'm the Capricorn moon. And we both have them in the third house and it's planetary joy. So that makes me feel joyful.
That makes me feel joyful too. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so is that all? Anything else?
No, that's it. You know, we got some folks here and I'm excited, and I know they want to hear you talk about I want to hear you talk about the wheel and the body and the solstice. And
all right, cool. Let's get into it. So I have my dogs here. I'm going to be giving them treats to keep them chill. We'll see how it goes. All right. So in Tantra Yoga, there is actually a map of the map of the sky corresponds directly with the map in our body. So we'll start like this: Kala chakra. This teaching that I'm about to share comes from the Kalotra Tantra. Kala means time. And okay, so Kala chakra means chakra is wheel. Kala chakra, wheel of time. So this teaching is from the Tantras, but it also shows up in some of the Buddhist Tantra teachings. There's the Kala chakra from the Buddhist teaching is very detailed, very specific, and slightly they vary in some ways. But all you want to know, all I'm going to share is that in this part of our head, everybody talks about the third eye, or if you're cool, you say the first eye.
The most important eye.
It really is. It's the eye that is, when we turn our gaze inward, that we're able to perceive a timelessness that connects us with our ancestors and the collective ancestors and the star beings and the galactic whoever confederation of whatever. Like it takes us into all that we're capable of perceiving.
Right.
And they have developed these very, very technologically detailed practices to help us really identify with that first eye, and so that we're able to connect in with more than just the physical realm, so more than just our thoughts, and then our thoughts about who, I feel like in our current time we're so connected to our thoughts. We believe our thoughts to the point of, it's like, my Tantra Yoga teacher talks about us playing the thoughts in our mind and then believing them, like just having them going like as if we're watching TV. But when you're watching TV, it's a story. But for some reason, when it's happening in our mind, that we forget that it's a story and we start to believe it and become really attached. So, okay, so here we are above this third eye, we have winter solstice. I'm going to just give it like very simple. It's more in depth. There's actually 3 chakras that are above the third eye that in our modern day, or we'll say Western chakra system, you don't have the 3. You only have, you go from this eye to the crown. But
Right.
there's actually 3 more chakras in between there. So in
Wow.
here, we have winter solstice. And it's actually cold, dark new moon. It's the end and the beginning. So whenever we want to connect in with that, we can easily, because your breath won't go more than here. Your breath ends, it's just physiologically, that when you inhale, there's something happening here. Then when you exhale, there's something again happening here, but through here, it's the subtle energy of the breath.
Hmm.
Okay, there's Justin. He says, "Yay, yay, cold, dark new moon." My friend Justin is really
Are you
loves.
ready, Justin, for this new moon on the 23rd at 1 degrees?
He really loves this.
Okay.
Okay, so then from this is also going to be the place where we inhale. So to begin our inhale, you just think you don't even think about it. Most people don't even think about the inhale and the exhale. It's just happening naturally. But whenever you bring your awareness to your inhalation, there is, oh my gosh, this weird moment of like you had to exhale. You know what I'm saying? You can't inhale before you've exhaled. The exhale is the ending.
Yes.
The ending, if you want to draw that out so that you're able to catch the awareness of the exhale, you can consciously bring awareness into this center of your head and connect in with solstice. It's very cold. It's very like winter going underground. There's nothing really happening. If you're able to connect in with that, the end of your exhalation, your body kind of shrivels and softens. If you really pay attention, with a deep breath and then a deep exhalation, everything shrinks in.
Yes.
You feel a contraction.
And for me, I bring that belly button like as if I feel it or visualize it in my third eye, like it's going back to my spine.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So in Tantra Yoga, we have what's called the Sushumna Nadi, which is the central channel. And there's actual practices that we do with the belly button to pump so you actually can pump your central channel through doing these exercises so you can move the energy more efficiently from up here all the way down to your pelvis.
Yeah.
So let me tell you now, here's winter. Then we have through this part of our face, from the nose down to the soft palate. A soft palate is that the roof of the mouth.
Right.
Mm. My sons are really good with this. I've taught them how to properly chant Om and
Yes.
to properly move the energy through their body. And these little guys, they're really amazing at it. And it's a very simple practice. But so here is like autumnal equinox. Through this section of our face, it's going to be like the equinox. Then when we get to the heart, that's going to be the summer solstice or
Mm.
the Cancer. Now, you
Yes.
think about the heart, that area of our body actually co-responds with Cancer. We have the breasts there in our hemisphere. This is also it's hot, so we have fire, the heart representing that fire. So that is, it's easy to make sense of that. So as we exhale completely, the exhale will begin here. And then when we inhale, we travel all the way down to the heart with an inhalation. When we get to the fullness of our inhale, that is summer solstice. That fullness of the inhalation is where everything is popping off. It's hot. There's actually this heat that rushes through our body. When you inhale, if you know about this tumo breathing that they have, what's that guy's name who's everybody knows about him because he goes naked in the snow and he show how he warmed himself up by his breath. You know who I know Justin knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um, I can't remember his name. So anyway, basically, when you take an inhalation, you can warm yourself up with your breath. Yes, Wim Hof. I knew Justin would know. Thank you, Justin. Yeah. So
Oh, I've heard. Okay, Winhoff. I've heard of that name.
Wim Hof teaches a breathing practice that will help you to warm yourself so
Mm.
that you can be in the cold. Because the cold constricts you, gets you all shriveled up and curled, just like the end of your exhalation, you contract. And then when you inhale again, you can warm yourself with that breath going to the heart.
Just
So
like the restrictions of Saturn, the cold.
exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. We have the expand and the contract. This teaching goes so much deeper. I'm not going to get into it, but if you want to know more, you can look into my teacher. He gives a lot of very good graphics. His name is Chris Tompkins, and he teaches how the Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, how they move around the pole star. So
Mm.
every single cycle of breath is imprinted on every single cycle of a day, every single cycle of a year, every single cycle of as far as big as you can go. The breath,
Wow.
as you've probably heard in so many of the teachings, that if we can slow our breath down, we will be able to slow our aging process. Actually, we will reduce anxiety. We will find more joy in our body because that inhalation, it brings a sense of joy because you're touching in with your heart and you're finding summer in your body.
Mm.
Even when it's winter, we exhale and we come all the way back into that contracted state that is beyond our conscious awareness. Then we continue this pattern. I want to also mention that when we exhale, the breath has left our physical body. It is new moon relating with the endings. Also, this relates in the winter, in the Capricorn, relates also with our connection to our ancestors, relates with our part of ourselves that is beyond life, then the part of us that can never die. So for winter, it's really, really wonderful time to whatever kind of ancestor rituals that you have to get into them during the winter solstice. So let's go from here to talk about Capricorn, because that's the season that we're in. And I would like to hear from you about the archetype of Capricorn, and then we'll kind of riff about Saturn afterwards. So give it
Yeah.
to me, Eric.
Well, I think it's actually, I just want to say first, so fitting that, when we were talking to actually do this, because so much of this was so relevant for me last year with learning how to breathe again as I was coming out of coma and
Mm.
working and mastering my breath work. So, like, you were just like hitting so many different points with my mental, with
Mm.
my emotions, and my Saturnian memory of the discipline of breath and breathing. And a lot of the key words with Capricorn that are associated with Capricorn and Saturn, and for those who may not know that are watching and listening, Saturn rules Capricorn the goat, cardinal earth sign, which, like you said, initiates the solstice. We'll call it the Capricorn solstice in this hemisphere, winter solstice. But and it's also associated, Saturn, with Aquarius, right? The fixed air sign. Think of that as the stern grandfather, and Capricorn, the stern grandmothers. Like Miss Anjani says, and it's so true, Capricorn and the energy of Capricorn and Saturn is very much associated with our ancestors, our bones, our lineage, our structure, our DNA. Capricorn the goat feels a duty, a burden, a responsibility, right? Especially when you're dealing with the Capricorn moon, for status, success, achievement, hard work, right? Think of Capricorn that's really requiring all of us in our lives to respond to our abilities.
Mm.
And it's through the lens of the discipline, structure, and hard work. One of my favorite Capricorn mantras um, is really work hard, and then one more time, work hard again, and then play very hard or even harder. Because the Capricorn energy, once they kind of release the discipline and organization and structure and that need to achieve and accomplish and status, accomplish is the key word that often doesn't get used, then they kind of like let go of the restrictions. And when they let their hair down, Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising, it is like that exhale that you were talking about that's so
Mm.
deep that you almost feel it in your body. And Capricorns can party like nobody can party. You know what I mean? But it's because of the fact that it's more, so often it's rare for them to let their hair down and let go. Because honestly, the archetype of Capricorn, you guys remember, think of it associated with the 10th house. So out in the world, the highest point, the Saturnian bubble that we live in, the top of your chart, the father, the government, the authority. But it's that workplace, work environment. It's the public image, the legacy, right? And that takes us back to kind of the opposition of the Cancer, where you're thinking of the roots, the ancestors, where we come from. Well, that Cancer Capricorn axis is so deep in the archetype, and there's such a simpatico between the two energies that really speaks to what you need as a foundation, right? Because Capricorn's about laying down the cement, pouring the cement, the foundations to build on. Well, that gets built in Cancer, right? The cardinal water sign. So I love the Capricorn energy. I come from a place where my father's father, my grandfather, was a Capricorn. I have two sons who are Capricorn risings, and my Capricorn moon is something that I knew nothing of as a child, but I always knew and understood that I enjoyed my peers and people my age, but I was way more mature than most of them. And then I always associated with older cousins, aunts, uncles, parents, grandparents. So I really wanted to be around the elders. And I think
Mm.
it gave me that wisdom that I innately sought out. And this is before I knew my birth chart. So it was like, if for Capricorn moon children, it's really imprinted in them. There is this maturity and this seeking out elders happens. And that's an omen right there.
Keep going. I'm going to pause this for a sec.
Okay. So for any of you, in the room and in the chat, understand Capricorn, when you're looking at the moon, think of, because it's ruled by the planet Saturn, emotionally, there are delays, limits, right? Saturn never takes something away, it just restricts it, delays it, limits it for a time period, right? Saturn, it slows down time. Well, that's what it really does. So there is a Benjamin Button effect with the Capricorn moon and the archetype. As we're coming up on this new moon at 1 degree at 5:17 p.m., I'm sorry, a.m. Eastern, the Capricorn new moon will be on December 23rd. And one thing that I really appreciate about Capricorn season, I find that it's a time to really put in the disciplines in your life. We think of these New Year resolutions. Well, the real New Year is really March 21st, the spring equinox, right? The 0 degree point of Aries. But this cardinal energy is always about initiating. And Capricorn being the final cardinal sign, you go from Aries, cardinal fire, Cancer, cardinal water, Libra, cardinal air, and then Capricorn, cardinal earth. It is about these containers and reality, the physical world. Earth signs are very Taurus is the most grounded, but it's very much about reality. And so, for me, I find that I can only deal in truth and reality having my Capricorn moon, because when I'm not in that place or I'm around people who do not deal in that place, I cannot take them serious. And Capricorn energy, it's a boss energy. You'll find a lot of Capricorn moons will have their own businesses. And if they don't, they wind up later on in life, because it can be challenging for them to work under people if the leadership is not filled with hard work, structure, organization, and discipline. Capricorn moons see right through people's BS. They don't have any time for it. They just don't, you know? So that's sort of my spiel with the Capricorn archetype. But also, I don't know if you're aware of this, Anjani, but Capricorn moons, especially in the first, third, fifth, 10th, and 11th house, they can be extremely creative, very much as talented writers, musicians, especially on the ascendant. Capricorn moons, male or female, they can be very talented writers for screenplays, films, TV shows, plays, but musically. And a lot of the Capricorn moon women, they can play the piano, violin, flute, keyboard really well. So I find that fascinating.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Those are challenging instruments to play.
And it takes discipline, right?
Yeah, it does. It really makes sense. So you did mention some of the things about the wheel of the year. I don't know if you did that intentionally or not, but those cardinal signs, the cardinal signs being what I call the creation signs. They're the ones that set the tone, setting the tone. So Capricorn sets the tone for what is sustainable culture. What is going to last and support more than just me, more than just my family, even? Capricorn has been known to be one of the most carry the burden of the whole culture because it's even if you don't think about that for yourself as a Capricorn moon person, or if you have a Capricorn sun, don't get confused. I heard Irene saying, my boyfriend I had a boyfriend, he was Capricorn and he partied all the time. It doesn't mean that if you have strong Capricorn placements that you're going to be the archetype, or that you're going to be, because who knows what all else he had going on, and what
In the
phase
chart,
or
yeah.
initiation that he was in during your time together. So we can be like super sucking at our Capricorn, or we can be, if when I was in my Saturn, I was in a Saturn initiation, and I actually made an altar to Saturn so that I could every day do, before I left my house, do some specific work to integrate Saturn, so that when I went out into the world, that I basically, for me, it had to do with being able to know my inner authority and not be giving my power away to people who I perceive to be more powerful than me. And because I have been working for myself since I got out of the military in 2006, my clients, I would put them up. So instead of having one boss, I would have like 300 bosses, and I would constantly be bowing down to them. So I did a ritual to help myself to become Saturn for myself.
Right.
So those 0 points, the 0 point of Capricorn being where when we have solstice, basically what that is saying, I think it was 1:49 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is going to be when the sun reaches 0 degrees of Capricorn. And it's interesting to look at that time and look at what is going on astrologically, can kind of give us some clues about what's going on collectively. But for us personally, I like to see, okay, where is that in my chart? The sun is illuminating this particular house in my chart. Every single Capricorn solstice, this particular topic gets illuminated for me. And so now I know, how can I move into Capricorn season, setting the tone in that house, which is going to be a house for you wherever sun is entering. That is going to be a house that you are meant to be setting the tone in some particular certain way.
Right.
So from that, we have 3 months, you guys. We have 3 months of what's considered to be winter. So from Capricorn, we're going to move into Aquarius. Okay, first, Capricorn in my mind has to do with how we set the tone. What is our sustainable structure that we're setting for our lives? I always will say, like, who's going with me? Like, it's not just you. With Capricorn, it isn't about just you. It's about the culture and who's coming with you. So it's like, okay, this is my empire, and who's coming with me.
Yeah.
So that is always going to be of importance. And then when we get into Aquarius season, now it's like, okay, now how can I innovate upon this foundation that I'm building? Then from Aquarius, we'll get into Pisces season, where it's now more about the dream, the vision for what we are going to create when the sun gets into the New Year season at the equinox, when we get to March 21st timeframe and sun goes into Aries. So we have this 3 months to really find out, what is my empire? What is my sustainable structure? What is the real elbow? What do you call this? Grease you got to put in, the elbow work, the real work that you have to do to set the tone for the culture that you're building in your life, and how you're becoming the authority more and more every day in your life. Then you're going to innovate, then you're going to dream and vision, and then you're going to get the time of your new year when we get into Aries.
And it makes sense, Anjani, what you're saying, because one thing that I think often that people forget about, Capricorn is really the builder, and so
Mhm,
they build for the culture. And
mhm,
that's where they have that kind of archetype of leadership, authority, and boss. And so
mhm,
I think it's very fascinating how you had to set that intention in the inner rituals. So then you were taking that kind of authority and boss energy out into the world. So you didn't give it away to others
mhm,
because it was always in you. You just had to kind of harness it, look within, right? And Capricorn does that better than most.
mhm,
Being a cardinal earth sign, it's more introspective, and then it kind of reflects off the opposition of Cancer, and it really like is so good at pouring that cement to
mhm,
build structures. And then the
mhm,
Aquarius is like, okay, you guys, I've laid down this foundation. Now the group comes together to add on and innovate, like you said, right? And
mhm,
then you kind of see with the mutable water sign, right? Things, the visions and dreams start to come to fruition.
mhm,
So it's really a beautiful dance that we kind of have to spiritually, physically, and mentally go through from Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces.
mhm,
And there's great lessons and wisdom to be learned because also remember, you're dealing with the great malefic and the great benefic. You're going Saturn, Saturn, Jupiter. So that's really deep when you think of it like that too, right? Saturn, Saturn, Jupiter. So it's big energy,
mhm.
powerful energy.
Yeah, I'm really interested in what people are holding for this 3 months. I personally always in this 3 months, it because it is going to be going ninth house, 10th house, 11th house. Like this is my most like I have a lot of energy in this part of the year. And it for me personally, it's like I do have kids. I am building an empire. I do have legacy. Every year it becomes more and more refined.
Hmm.
And so I'm curious. So you know this phrase, when opportunity meets preparation, is that how the
Yes,
phrase goes?
yes.
So this 3 months always for me is like not a grind. Before I have said it's a grind because I'm waking up at 5 in the morning and wrote my book during this phase of
Mm.
season back in 2016. But right now I'm waking up, I'm making chocolate, I'm working on my website, I'm doing things that are preparing me. And also there's this little bit of a sense because of the transitions of the hold on, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Okay, that's what Justin is telling us. Um so I forgot what I was saying because my light turned off.
Well, you were talking about just the things that you're kind of
Oh, right.
preparing.
Yeah. So, what is the preparation for you? That's the question. Like, what are you in look at your houses and see what
Yeah.
is the sun coming
Well,
to
it's so
illuminate.
perfect. It's so funny that you said what you said about 2016 because so for me it's third, fourth, and fifth house, right? And by the way, let me just say this real quick. The new moon at 1 degree, it is my chart. It's a Scorpio rising with the part of fortune in there, and then the sun,
Mhm.
moon, Mercury, Venus, and Pluto in the third house in Capricorn. So that's going to be a really interesting energy, and it's the square to 0 degree Jupiter and Aries. So, but anyway, with me, it's houses 3, 4, and 5, and so I'm actually writing a book now myself, and I am, you know, being extremely foundational in terms of building and constructing, um, you know, a new twist on the website, getting ready to launch my introduction to, the basic foundations of astrology course in the new year. and the book, and just continuing to blossom and grow. And then there's been certain changes that I'll be going from the Capricorn into Aquarius, where there'll be some things done around the home. And what's so fascinating, it will line up probably perfect timing with the Pluto entering the fourth house, and that transformation will be doing some things for the home with my mother-in-law. And then, just like as we head to the Pisces season, fifth house for me, children, there are continued disciplines to prepare for Saturn in Pisces that I've already installed those routines and rituals for the spiritual practices and creativity with my children. So it's really perfectly lined up. I just thought of it right now, and it's just so deep as you asked that question. And so I think for everybody, you guys in the chat, you can all look in your chart and kind of, like Anjani was saying, line up and see for this season, Capricorn house, Aquarius house, and Pisces house. And by the way, this is why it's so important to look at the whole sign system, you guys. And I'm not knocking Placidus, but you have all 12 signs and houses in your chart. There's none of that skipping houses and skipping signs, because you can access all of those energies. And then when you're doing different, for more advanced astrology, when you're doing annual perfections and secondary progressions and solar arcs, you need the whole sign system. Placidus can throw off the chart with the interceptions and things like that. So I always just try to remind, the audience in the chat and clients, and how important it is, if you go to astro.com, to put in the whole sign system, because you want to do this in your own chart, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and then take yourself through those themes of those houses, what planets are going to be hit by the sun in transit and other planets that will activate themes in your life that you need to build, and then innovate, and then visualize and dream, manifest. So it's very important for everyone to be able to make those connections in their own natal birth chart.
Yes, and just not to get stuck in one of, or you know what I mean, like having certain. I'm saying this because I get like this. Like I will get in a way where I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this other season to come, because there's some things that are more challenging for me below the surface. Like when it goes through like my second, third, fourth, and fifth, I'm like, oh my God, and don't even ask me about the seventh house. Like there's challenges, you know what I mean? There's challenges in this between the horizon and the descendant for me.
Yes.
And I am much more, I feel more confident when it comes to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I feel amazing during those things. So if, like what Eric just said, to like pull out your chart, look at where the sun is illuminating those specific areas of your life. And then what you might do also is see what planets that you have there. The planets are going to be like tools, planets are a force. They are an action. They're something that is literally actively happening. They're a planetary force.
Yes.
You can see what planets that you have there. And I think of those as like, oh, this is a tool that I have to help me get through this area of my life. So I mentioned my seventh house being a struggle for me, but I have Uranus there, and I see that as a tool for me. I understand, like, okay, this strange Uranian energy that loves change and is very radical and shifting the assemblage point, that is a tool for me in this seventh house. So you'll want to look, where is the sun going through? What tools do you have? And for me, I love, especially when I get through the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th houses, I really love to, I probably am working to love also. I will maybe this year work on loving the 1st through the 7th also.
Oh, you will. We have to speak it into existence, Anjani. You
We'll
will.
see. So,
You love all 12 houses.
but what I'm saying is that you can map your life. You can map out what you want to work with. And then, of course, like the first time I had sat for ayahuasca ceremony, I will never forget this because it is so relevant
Mm,
to real actual life.
right,
Is okay, you set your intentions, and this process I'm talking about, mapping your life through looking at your chart, seeing where is the sun going through, what are these areas of life I can work on, what tools do I have to work on them. Then you set that map and you set that plan. So when I was sitting in the ceremony, they're like, okay, everybody tell you, what is your intention? What is your, what are you coming here for? What are you bringing with you? What do you want to give? What do you want to take away from this ceremony?
right.
And then after everybody told, the person who was holding the ceremony, he was like, that's cute. He was like, that's really cute. That's beautiful. And just so you know, you're going to get what you need. So when the time is moving, time in Tantra Yoga, when I mentioned, means Kala. This is like the goddess Kali also.
Mhm,
And it's the great mother, the what we call the Jagat Yoni, the universal mother, which
mm,
was you could say rules time. But actually we don't talk like that in Tantra Yoga. We say that this goddess is time.
right.
So you're going to get what you need. You can make these ideas about my intention and this is my offering. Don't forget the offering. This has been since 2020 a huge thing for me. The more your offering doesn't have, when people will say, "Oh, here, see my offerings." They're not really offerings because you're actually going to be paying for those. An offering is something that you are offering actually. And so to get back into a sense of knowing what is an offering, what are you bringing? What, like when I step into a room, there are things that I am bringing to that room because I've cultivated a sense of what I'm going to be offering. And then to know that you have that thing to give, there's something that you're going to also be receiving. But these things that happen in life, that is the vehicle for which to bring the offering and which you're going to be receiving something. So we can't avoid the circumstances. Okay, if I have a feeling I want to go see somebody, I like somebody, he lives 7 hours away, oh, I'm in a conflict. Okay, what do I want to go, do I so the foundation that I always will come back to, what is presenting itself to me right now? What is presenting itself? Because it might not be what my plan was. It might not be, but this is time moving through my physical body, and that I am always going to be presented with an opportunity to think about it, to feel about it, and to somehow merge the thought and feeling. And I think about this Capricorn, because there is a strategy, there is a right way and a wrong way, and there's this like due diligence and all of that. And then Cancer being that summer solstice, which is like the joy of the heat of the inhalation that is enlivening my body and making this, the feelings, so that
I was gonna say feelings is the perfect word. Yeah.
yeah, so that we're constantly, this axis, I think of it going this way because we have north, we have south, and that's Capricorn winter solstice and the summer solstice, and then we're going left to right, which is going to be the right being the sun rising, that's the Aries equinox, and then the west, which is going to be that descendant, which is going to be Libra, where I dissolve into we. And that has a lot to do with our relationships and how the relationship will be mirroring back to us something that we could never see by ourselves. So we have this grand cross within our body all the time, and that central sun being in the heart that is constantly pumping the movement. The heart is really like a pump that keeps fueling everything in our body. So,
Very powerful.
yeah.
Electrical energy, yeah. You know, what you're saying is so deep, and I think what's fascinating for people to understand too is when we go through these energetic shifts, we do need to understand we can have challenges that appear to be overwhelming or difficult at a period time of life or moment. But then, if we almost like astral travel to the future and then kind of look back, we can see that often we got exactly what we needed. And that happens a lot with the nodes in astrology, right? These karmic fated shifts and points. I know it's been very strong for you and I because it's on the Taurus Scorpio axis. So both of our ascendants and descendants. And then it will shift coming up, next year to the Aries Libra axis. And so that's when it's going to start to affect the cardinal signs. So Capricorn will be in play with that along with Cancer because it'll be on, for some who might not know, the angular houses in your birth chart, right? So if you are, let's say, an Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn ascendant, those are the four angular houses, like you said, the cardinal cross of the directions, right? First, fourth, seventh, and 10th house. So you really want to know your chart inside and out because as the planets are moving in transit through your chart, you can prepare yourself mentally and emotionally and through rituals like Anjani was speaking about with the Saturn routine and ritual in terms of how you want to, but then really need to work with these energies. The planets that are in transit, but then how they are activating your planets in the natal birth chart, whether the house is empty or if it has a planet that's there, right? So if something comes to Scorpio, like the South Node, right, it's going to hit your Uranus in the seventh house. If something comes into Capricorn, like all these planets now for this new moon, they're going to activate the moon in my third house. And so that's how you start to understand the wheel and then how the planets are in motion and how they are affecting themes in your life. I'll give you an example. I knew when Saturn was coming into Aquarius in my fourth house, I needed to prepare for certain things to happen with my mother and with my home. And they did. During that time, I did lose my mother. She passed away. But at the same time, I also had a lot of repairs on my home. Had to redo a roof, had a leak in the roof, had issues with water, issues with this, that. And so I was prepared for it. So this is where, you guys, astrology is so practical in your life, and that you can emotionally and physically prepare, but at the same time, you know how to respond and you can see the certain themes manifest, right? Another example, Mars is in Gemini now, right? It's going to station direct on January 13th, and then it leaves March 25th and will enter the sign of Cancer. Well, so I've seen it. Like my Capricorn rising sun was making some toast, and Gemini is in his sixth house of sickness and health and illnesses. And Mars and Gemini. Mars can be burns. Gemini is the hands. He burnt his hand, like a really bad burn. You can see flesh, second-degree burn. And so, that's where the astrology really played out and came very real. So those are just little examples, but you guys want to understand and learn how to prepare and work with these energies in your natal birth chart through watching and understanding the transits that are happening.
I keep forgetting to say this, but every time I get started, I forget. These 3 months, okay, I'm bringing it back to the 3 months.
Yeah.
Because as you know, these 3 months, as we're doing our preparation so we can have the opportunities that are going to show up. There's, I'm sure that everybody that's watching this is very well aware that Saturn is moving into Pisces March 7th, and Pluto is moving into Aquarius March, is it 23rd?
23rd until the first week of June. Little sneak
So
preview.
this chunk of time that we're in right now, I keep hearing for myself, and I know it's going to be different for everybody depending upon what houses these are for you. But the message that I keep getting is to get that stuff done. Like
Get
whatever
disciplined.
is left over that I did mention in the Telegram group this thing. I do it every year, which is go through my journal from the year and circle things that I still want to do. I didn't maybe do it. It was an idea that I had. I'll circle those, put them into the new journal that I have for the upcoming year. Things that I did, I'll cut a check. Things that I'm not going to do, I just cross it off and let it go. Like just
That's
to
good.
clear 2022, let that be done, figure out what I'm taking with me, and then like get it done, like get to it, whether you have to put it on a dry erase board in your living room. So I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, I work alone, so everybody who's in my house, I want them to know, like, you see me here, but don't be asking me for toast when you know how to make toast, because I actually have got these things I need to get done today. So whatever you got to do to like make it pleasurable, though, because especially during these Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces times a year. Well, let me talk later about Pisces, because that Capricorn time of year, we can get very cold, pain in the joints, very cold and distant from our loved ones. So that's why I'm mentioning what I like to do is bring out the big dry erase board so everybody knows what mom's doing. So when you ask me for toast and I say, get your own damn toast, you will know that I'm not trying to be cold and distant. It's just that about 6 p.m. is when I can make you some stuff. But right now I'm actually at work. You know what I mean?
Well, and what you're saying is really important, right? Because you are doing the big Capricorn thing and setting boundaries. And sometimes that can be challenging for the Pisces energy. And so we all need boundaries in our lives. These are some of the keys to be successful. Having a plan, being disciplined, being structured, being organized. And so I need to take that on because for me, I tend to do that, but it's in here. And so I need to kind of escribe, write it out more. My handwriting is terrible, so I'll probably do it on the computer, but I need to do a 2023 journal. So thank you for that insight and idea, because also, I think it is important to sometimes cross things off your list. And maybe you've had a change of heart, or you have a new vision or a different approach. And you're like, this will no longer help me in the direction that I'm going. So let me cross it off my list, in terms of things that you desire to achieve, right? Very Capricorn. And so having that plan, they talk about billionaires having a think box and a time box, right? So you want to have that structure. At 7 a.m., I'm doing this. At 8:30 a.m., I'm doing this, right? At 9:15, I'm going to go outside and ground in nature. I'm going to go do this, and when you put those type of plans into motion, then there's an obligation to reach and achieve the goals you set before yourself. And I think a helpful hint for the audience, and people in the chat also is, sometimes I don't want to say tricking the brain, because I don't like that terminology, but setting the intention for your brain is to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it really gets you to, you've already started it. And so then your brain is accepting that. And then it sets the intention. So at 1, you have to move. And it's very helpful. And I laugh because I started doing it and it really works. You know what I mean? And what I like about that is that you feel obligated. You put the obligations. And I got to tell you a little secret with the Capricorn moon. This is a little side note, but I think it could be helpful. Just a little insight to how we think and work. I remember in my 20s, maybe early 30s, but I probably stopped it. After the Saturn returns, I think I stopped it. But I was so tough on myself and disciplined that if I did not respond to my abilities and do certain things that I had desired or wanted to do, I would, Anjani, I swear to you, I would put myself on punishment. So I would take away things. I would take away things from myself that I like. So I would take away getting to enjoy going to a movie. I would take away maybe eating, I have Venus on ascendant, so I would take away eating some chocolate chip cookies. I would take away things that might bring me pleasure until I felt that I earned it. That's how crazy my Capricorn moon mind is. Because remember, the moon, you guys, it's not just your mom, your sensitivities, your feelings, your emotions. It's your body, your health, the family you create. But it is how the mind responds and reacts to events, to people, to themes, to everything. Mercury is the more logical, analytical, processing, thinking, communicating mind. The moon is the deep, responsive, reacting, and that type of way of the mind works. So that's something that Capricorn moons can go through. And I'm actually in a Capricorn moon group on Facebook,
Oh
and so
God.
it's actually kind of funny because I don't feel alone in that sense. Like when I share that, like other people like, oh yeah, I used to do that. You know what I mean? So it's really kind of funny. And then another thing that's wild that I've, these little polls that I've done and just things that I've experienced with clients, many Capricorn moons wind up later in life taking care of their mother. And I took
Mm.
care of my mother over 17 years. That's definitely a Capricorn moon thing. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's deep.
Yeah. So you know what I'm really, really interested in, because I'm talking about like setting up these ideas and setting up what is my empire and my sustainable structures, and what are these things that I'm going to be preparing. So the thing that's like kind of the edge for me right now is because of these big movements that we have happening. Okay, so right before the solstice, we are going to have Jupiter go back into Aries and go on with it. So we've had this like floundering kind of feeling where Jupiter was in Pisces, went back to Aries, went back to Pisces, now going to go back through Aries. So there's something right at that last degrees of Pisces up to 7 degrees of Aries that we've been having this like big burst of energy, and then it retracts, and then a big burst of energy. So there's something there that's kind of giving me a clue about like, okay, this is going to be moving forward, because Jupiter will go back into Aries the day before solstice.
Yes, the
And
20th.
then once we get that momentum going, the sun gets into Capricorn. We have the new moon in Capricorn at 1 degree, which is going to be initiating all of us into our Capricorn mysteries. And then it's like, okay, so my thing is, it's like, I'm ready. I love this energy. I can't wait. But I'm also like, but shit, is it right? Like, am I going to be over here? Like, am I going to be over here starting the whole thing? Because when I get going, I'm like, what do you call this? Snowball. And
Right.
it's a big energy that gets moving. And then what? And then Saturn's going to move into Pisces. So I'm like, what if I start working, and I know the whole what if thing. Like, I have to do what life puts in front of me in the moment. That's always going to be my foundational piece. What is appearing to me in this moment? Because whatever's in front of me is for me to do one way or another. That's going to always be informing, like, that's what is coming up right now. Hey. I see somebody said, hey. Um,
Well, let me address that because I think
Great
I have
chat.
something about that that's very pointed. I don't know if you want to read some of the comments or if there's.
Oh, I'm just looking over because I did pose a question. I asked people what they would want to know about these next 3 months, because like I'm saying, like, we do have these big changes coming up with Capricorn season just starting. It is a momentum to get going, to start building, to start really putting all the emphasis on What is my empire and what is the work that I'm doing to build that? But then we
Okay.
have these big changes coming up. So it's like, how do we stay flexible? Because Saturn is in Aquarius right now, and also moving into a more flexible sign of Pisces, but still doing our work and staying consistent.
Well, I want to just share a couple of thoughts about that because I think what's really beautiful. So, like I said, the chart is a Scorpio rising, and then you have the sun and moon at 1 degree, and then you have the Mercury at 21 degrees. I forgot the degree point of Venus. It's probably like 14, 15, somewhere in there. And then Pluto at 27 degrees, 23 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter will be in Aries in the sixth house at 0 degree. And remember, at the new moon, Chiron stations direct. So what's really fascinating, and what you were mentioning about the back and forth Pisces Aries, and then once it goes back in Aries, it's going to just like boom, run all the way to May 16th. And then on May 17th, it will enter the sign of Taurus 2023. So because it's at 0 degrees cardinal starting point, Jupiter, there's really this new beginning energetically that we're embracing. And Jupiter in Aries is the motivational speaker, the motivational coach, the go out and attack. And it's in the sixth house of our work, service, daily routine. Go get it done, set the alarm clock, 5 a.m., go to the gym, do your rituals, no BS, and get to work. So that's perfect as we start this new moon. And really deep, last month, the Sagittarius new moon on the 23rd was 1 degree. And then the first 3 new moons going into the new year, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries, will also be at 1 degree. So it's really on you. It's on us, the individual. Okay. So we are initiating a new energy. And we started off the year with a Capricorn new moon. So it's really deep. It's like Capricorn to Capricorn. It's the Jupiter and Aries 0 degree. And on top of it, Mercury is going to be in a sextile to Neptune. Okay. So, and in Pisces, in that 5th house of speculative gains, creativity, or hobbies, right? All this different stuff, past life karmas. So I feel like we have the momentum. We will have the spiritual gifts and insights to implement the discipline now. Should have already been doing it, but if you haven't, now, okay, now to get prepared for Saturn in Pisces March 7th. Let me hit that before I get to the Pluto Aquarius. March 7th, the ascendant for Saturn in Pisces, which is contradictory energies, right? Because Saturn's about boundaries and discipline, and Pisces is about no boundaries.
That's what I'm saying.
It's nebulous. It's creativity, imagination, spirituality. It's magic. It's fantasies and dreams. But it's on the ascendant. It's a Pisces rising ascendant when Saturn enters Pisces. And you're going to have the sun, Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune on the ascendant for Pisces.
Wow.
Pisces rising is the shapeshifter. It's very idealistic, unrealistic, but Saturn's in there to say, are you being disciplined about your spiritual practices and your routines? Are you being disciplined about your creativity? Right? Are you putting in disciplines for once in your life, Pisces, to put in the proper boundaries so that you can go ahead and create the way you need to? First house ascendant, I am energy. Okay. Then on March 23rd, when Pluto enters Aquarius, it's a Cancer ascendant. So that Pluto enters Aquarius in the 8th house of occult sciences, astrology, numerology, tarot, other people's money, power, control, sudden events, all this stuff. The charts are very deep. I did a free webinar on them. And then don't forget May 17th, Jupiter entering Taurus, which can be very beneficial, I think, for all of us financially. So, what all this is lining up to show us is that this new moon, this winter solstice, this time is really this new boost of energy, Jupiter and Aries, to have the motivations to cardinal initiate the disciplines, practices, routines, structures, foundations, organization, journaling to get prepared for the huge shifts of Saturn Pisces, Pluto Aquarius, Jupiter Taurus, the nodal shift from Taurus Scorpio to then really it won't officially affect us until the October eclipses, because in April and May it's going to be like I don't know what they call it, but it will be like a Taurus Libra eclipse, and then it'll be an Aries Scorpio eclipse. So it's going to be kind of interesting. But 2023 October is when we'll be officially like really dealing with the Libra Aries eclipse access for the next, like, I guess 16 months or whatever. So there's a lot happening in 2023, but what it's showing you in this Capricorn new moon and season with the solstice, that it's time for us, Anjani, Eric, Justin, Abraham, Bella, Irene, whoever's in here, to put the responsibility on ourselves. We cannot blame this one, that one, your spouse, your friend, your parent, your sibling, the government, anybody. It's on you, the individual, to initiate cardinal the routines, rituals, practice, disciplines, boundaries, foundations, and structures you need to be successful for 2023.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm all about that stuff. Like, really learning to love Saturn has been probably the most amazing thing in my life.
Right.
Let me read this really quick. Why am I so good at discipline in certain areas and really awful with it in others? Anjani, I'm going to reach out for a reading. Maybe I can gain. I always love to read for you, Sarah. And I want to say something about this question here, because I love this, because I had just mentioned my challenges between the first house and the seventh house, that being something that is like, ooh.
Well, let me ask you this. Can Sarah put down in the chat, what is her rising sign?
So we can see what those things are. Yeah, while you do that, Sarah, I want to mention I want to mention this. You said something earlier when you were talking about Pisces, Saturn going into Pisces, and the boundary things and all of this stuff. I want to mention that I see it a little bit different, because Pisces, Neptune, that watery, visionary, psychedelic experience, that's what it is. You come sit with me for a minute. You're going to feel like you're tripping.
I know. I live with your spiritual sister, my wife,
right?
Who has the same placements as you. I know.
So this is the thing. That is its own version of reality. Like, Saturn is a form of reality. And Saturn, like probably 2015, I made this video that I still think about it today. I should go back and watch it. It was asking the question, who is this God of reason that we put up on a pedestal, which is Saturn? We have Saturn's reality as being what we all consider as the reality really means what is real. To Neptune, the planetary force of Neptune, which is the co-responding planet that goes with Pisces, has a different version of reality, which is malleable and watery and contains everything and contains nothing. So it is boundaryless, because it is a different type of reality. Like your dream, when you're in it, it is very real. It is the most real thing that you have at that moment. And then when you wake up into another form of real. So when Saturn goes into Pisces, what I'm perceiving to be happening with this is that the first thing that is very practical, middle world reality that I feel it very tangibly, because since 2020, everybody has become a shaman, a mystic, a healer, an astrologer, an herbalist, a priestess. Like, these are the realms of Pisces. These are Pisces things. And since now everybody is one, whereas before in culture, like, you couldn't be these things until 20 years of practice. You would be an herbalist after 20 years of, you couldn't even practice until you had met certain established points in that journey.
Yes.
So for my feeling, it's like, oh, well, when Saturn goes into Pisces, there is going to be like, show me proof. Where's your certificate? Who is your teacher? Who are you mentored by?
Exactly.
It's
going to restrict, I think, and place disciplines on the spiritual community.
Definitely
Yes.
that. And then also, Justin, oh God. And then also with that, there will be something that I feel will be having us to understand more about the timelessness of Pisces, that will become, how can I say, do you know the phrase, they will be like, oh, it's just an old wives' tale, or, oh, that's just the grandma medicine that people just kind of blow it off. Oh, my grandma said that. That was stupid. That was so whatever.
No,
Like, when Saturn goes into Pisces, I feel like they're the grandmother. It's like the black grandma standing in your kitchen being like, what? Like, I said that you're supposed to put a corn kernel in your shoe before you go to such and such, and why aren't you doing that?
Right. Like, why don't you have the lemon peels on your socks when you go to bed at night, the detox, or the onion? Exactly. Nah, keep it real. Exactly. And what's so funny, I love about that, because for me, the way that you're relating it to the spiritual realm, that's exactly, I totally agree with that 110%, but that's exactly how I would relate to it as an MC to hip hop, because it's always irritated me, because growing up in New York City, not everybody could just rhyme. You had to have discipline, skills to be an MC, a master of ceremony. You couldn't just be like this fake trap, mumble rap, crap stuff, because you had to be able to have the ability and the foundation and the skills. Cats would actually smack the mic out of your hand or smack you in the face if you was up there being fugazi and you didn't have real bars and could really rhyme. And now it's this whole thing, oh, pass the mic to everybody. The whole world can rhyme. No, you can't. And that's why the art, the culture has been damaged, because so many people don't love it, don't know it, don't respect it, don't know the history, don't know the pillars of the bombers, the graffiti artist, the DJ, the MC. And so they don't love the culture and don't know it. So that's why the hip hop itself, it's not hip hop anymore. This is like, rap mess. I don't know what it is. It has gone so astray. And Saturn in Pisces is coming, because remember, Pisces is creativity as well. I believe Saturn is going to come and clean that up. Just like I think it's going to clean up some of the film industry, the whole remaking every film from the 80s. You know what I mean? And all this foolishness, where you're going to have to open up and respect new, really talented, disciplined, skilled screenwriters, and not just rehashing the same old garbage. So I think Saturn is going to clean up a lot of things, but I do think for those who have already walked this walk, it is going to recalibrate that you have to put certain disciplines into your life to kind of flourish through this time. Because remember, that sneak preview of Pluto and Aquarius is setting us up for the 20-year run starting January 21st, 2024 to 2044. That's like a little 2.5, March 23rd, and I don't know the date in June. It might be June 7th, June 12th, but it's a little 2.5 month preview to kind of like jar us and wake us up. And guess what? I love this. When it returns back to Capricorn at 29 degrees for the final cleanup, woo, Get your popcorn ready. It is going to be ripping down structures in a harsh way, like the stern Black grandma would. I told you she's going to be coming with the broom, swinging. What happened in the kitchen? Like, what happened? Like, oh, the president wants some too? What happened?
Oh God, I hadn't thought about that, Eric. Thank you so much for bringing it up. I briefly thought about it. I briefly thought like, oh, I want that 29-degree point, because to me, 29 and 0 are so powerful points.
Critical.
And so we're going to be seeing Pluto going over that, like hanging out right in that area, which that is just what you said.
I can't wait.
So for us, really, I feel like we did talk about this the other day. Remember when I got out my Neptune book and we were talking about like this thing, like we are saying, oh, I can't wait. People are going to really have a hard time. But the reason it's like, oh, I can't wait is because there's a certain part of like Saturn work that we've been doing to own our inner authority and to building up. And don't get me wrong, like, I know that there's things that I do not know, and that there will be things that are going to happen that will challenge me to a next level. But I think all the time about birth, like giving birth, every time that I've given birth is like, puts me to a point in my physical body and my emotional, spiritual capacity that I think there's always a moment where I'm like, this is it. I'm definitely going to die right now. But something, the inner genius or the inner genie, whatever it is, something comes and supports me through that. And then once I get past the thing where I'm like, I'm definitely going to die right now. Now something was born, and it was the baby, but also
it's not something. It's your ancestors.
That's the thing. Something is able to come up that is able to, and then that is a part of me that I'm able to access again, it's something that is coming to support me, that allows me to be the parent that I need to be to that next person, but it's a bigger energy. So I feel like with these Pluto going at that 29 and 0 degrees, that we're going to all have an opportunity to meet that part of ourselves that is able to support us through something that is challenging.
That's beautiful. And I totally agree with you. And remember this, and I want everybody to really, it's so important. One thing that I think I love that this sneak preview is going to show us, and then, when we get there for the 20 years in January 21st, 2024, the biggest currency in Pluto and Aquarius, you guys, is going to be truth and being authenticity. It is going to, I think it's going to blow people away that the Piscean age of some of the illusion, deception, some of the smoke and mirrors, some of the confusion, it's going to dissipate. Remember, the fixed air sign is the water bearer. It pours the wisdom and knowledge, that old man pouring that wisdom and knowledge that it got from the guru Jupiter in Sagittarius, the sextile. And so it's going to be, one of my little favorite sayings is everybody will get a slice of vegan pizza and kombucha, but there really will be. Now, not in the way that the power structures want to do with just, governmental monthly salaries, social credit score, digital currency. Well, there's a battle going on for that playing field, and we'll see how it turns up. But in general, it's going to be being authentic, being truthful, but finding and building. I am energy, Jupiter Aries, building your community and tribe. And I think it's going to be a beautiful time. I'm not saying there's not going to be bumps in the road. It's not going to be challenging. I think, the human design prophecy is that we're leaving the solar plexus and going to the heart chakra in 2027. And I do believe that from now to 2027, it's going to be a little bumpy. Uranus going into Gemini, a little bumpy, uh, Pluto Aquarius, Saturn Pisces, even the Jupiter aligning with Gemini, it might meet a little bit at the same time with Uranus and Gemini. I have to double check that in 2025. But when Neptune leaves Pisces and goes to Aries, that's the next big shift, 2026. What is that going to bring? So I think we're going to wake up in 2027 and we might not recognize anything of the old world back in 2019. Or really back in 2011 before 2012. Because the Mayans felt like, and a lot of people will tell you that, it's all been an illusion since 2012. So many schools of thought. But, this has been great. This has been fun. And I hope that people really look at their charts, look at the Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and just get prepared. And I think what you gave that advice of the journaling, I think really thinking about how you can pour the foundations, find your groups and tribe, innovate, and then visualize and dream and manifest, taking you from Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces is a great way to work with this energy, prepare for this energy, and really prepare yourself to have a wonderful, blessed, hardworking 2023.
I love that. Thank you so much. And yeah, hardworking gives me the chills a little bit, but I'm here for it. I think that work that we do and what we are putting into motion when we have that solstice day, and I just want to remind everybody that solstice gives us 3 days where the sun basically is setting in the same exact place. So we have a time, or is it rising? Is it rising or setting in the same place? I feel like it was setting because when I look at the time for the sunset,
Yeah,
it's
because
the
the
same for
21st is
3 days.
the shortest day of the year. And we don't see the sun. It's like the sun goes dark for 3 days. That was
But
the
it will stay. It'll stay in the same.
right. And that was the connection and correlation to with Christ in terms of from the 21st and then the 3 days later, and then the rise again.
The rise of the sun.
Yeah, the rise of the sun again. Yeah.
So I think that whatever we put into, even if it's just an awareness, that I love to use sound because the ancient Kemets, Egyptians, and the people of India, these are the ones that I know about. Sound is like God. So that if you put it into, like, say it, like speak it into the vibrational pattern of reality, that you put your intention like through saying it, somehow we can energize, like use this time to energize what it is that we're going to be working toward. Is it valuable? Who is it valuable to? Is it worth my time and energy? Like all of these Saturn questions that we can be asking ourselves right now, so that we can move forward with a strong intention about, even if your intention, because like I was saying there, and like what Eric was saying, there's some things that are going to be changing drastically, there, like I mentioned over and over, there's one thing that it's like, if it's in front of me, it's for me to do. Something like that, that is a phrase that you say that holds power, that you can be grounded in that. So even something little like that, it informs me a lot. And I find it to be a very valuable tool, especially as things are changing. So giving ourselves something to be grounded in, and then, good luck out there.
Well, no, and that's so beautiful. And my last thought before we go is just when you set that intention, I also just want to, I hope this resonates with people. Set the intention too of self-love and positive self-talk. I always say this, but you are no longer in that job anymore. You need to, put in your pink slip tonight. Retire from negative self-talk. It does not serve you. And it definitely will not serve you in this new energy, Saturn, Pisces, Pluto, Aquarius. You have to speak positively about yourself. And that's a great intention to have, because the word is life. Everything is energy. Everything's vibration. So what you think and what you speak, it can, it will manifest. So speak the health, wealth, and abundance. Speak the positivity. Speak the self-love. Speak that you're going to work out that seventh house this year, and it shall be. Okay.
Yeah,
And it
definitely.
shall be.
Yeah, definitely. There's a fine, what do you say? Like, there is a fine, not a line, but like to speaking those things, definitely. Like, my friend Marie is in here. Thank you so much for coming, Marie. I see you.
Oh, did
And
Sarah say her ascendant real quick before we go?
she did. She said Pisces. Let me finish this
Okay.
line here. She said
Cool.
it was Pisces, and she can answer her question. That there's some things you don't want to say. You know what I mean? There's some things that's like, I know my limitation and I know what I'm capable of, and I know that there's a little space in there for magic and miracles to happen.
Yeah.
So there's some things that I'm not going to say them because I'm like, you have to feel what you're saying, because there's something in alchemy where we join together the mind with the thinking thoughts, the words we're going to say, with the body's intelligence, what we know because of our experience. So within there, I feel this little, like, there is a space for magic and miracles. And also there, I'm not saying it yet. I have nothing to say on that. There's certain things. So I really feel that Capricorn energy too gives us that wisdom to know what we are capable of, and when to ask for help, when to get guidance, and then that we will have to build self-love in some areas of our life through diligence, through, if I don't know for sure that I'm capable of loving myself to the degree that I want to be loved by somebody else, I will, and I do put in 2 hours a day to massage my body, to do all of my routine things that prove to myself, Saturn, prove to myself that I'm worthy of love and that I am going to do that. And so that Capricorn for me is like, whatever it is that we need to have some due diligence to go ahead and get that support. And if you can't do it for yourself, that is where you go and hire somebody who can do it, and then hopefully there's some sort of a professional.
And
And
that's the Aquarius, right? Get the help, the
right,
support, the social network, the group.
right.
You said it right there, and was so deep. When you were saying that, it totally took me back to when we were laughing before. But that's a grandma sees you struggling, and what's grandma? Baby, what you doing over there? You need some help? And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm trying. Well, I see you trying, but you're doing it all wrong. Let me
Mm-hmm.
teach you. Let me show you. And then we receive the help. And so that is that Capricorn energy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Help yourself, but be open to being helped by someone else. That sage wisdom, and so that Capricorn motion into Aquarius is being open to receiving help. And that's the archetype. Think about that, the ancestors and the grandma helping you. You know what I mean? That's the help that you got to handle the birthing of each child. That's the help that we get when we don't know how to do something on social media or with the computer. And I called Apple yesterday and they helped me clear up space on my computer so I can make my videos. You know what I mean? So you got to reach out and get the help. There's limits to what we know and what we can do. There is space for the growth, the miracles, and magic. And sometimes the magic is picking up the phone and calling an expert to help you, but
Right.
that's being humble and wise to seek that. And I just want to say real quick to Sarah with the Pisces rising, one, she's amazing. I love Pisces ascendants. My mother was one. They are shapeshifters. Sarah, you can morph to anything, but you wear the rose-colored glasses. So you have to kind of, protect your energy. I always say to Pisces ascendants, because so often people want to take, I don't know if you ever saw True Blood on HBO. They want to take some of your fairy blood from you. Sookie Stackhouse, give me your fairy blood. And so you have to be, vampires, the energy vampires will come to a Pisces rising, because what happens, the magic that you probably hold within you, Sarah, is that you can see the best in people, and you can see who they can be, but not necessarily who they really are. And they might not ever want to walk into their future selves. So sometimes we have to embrace that Virgo seventh house and get more grounded and more practical, logical, self-critical, and realistic, and not just always use those rose-colored glasses and see the magic in everyone. Because not everyone is worthy of your magical eyes, Sarah, okay? And just think about the 12th and 11th house with the Capricorn and Aquarius. Those are deep houses for you with this energy. So this is a time for some deep introspection, analyzing the friend groups, the support groups, groups that you choose to be a part of, right? You want to join and show up for Anjani's Telegram. And maybe one Saturday in January, you'll come to Astrological Coffee Talk with Eric and join me. And, then when you get to that Aquarius 12th house, those are some of your hidden talents, right? You might have some esoteric gifts that you know how to pull in and connect other people together. You know what I mean? And that you might have some unique ways, innovative, bizarre, futuristic ways of tapping into the collective conscious and healing people in the spiritual realm, or traveling overseas to heal people. Who knows? But just think of that 11, 12, 1. And when you get to the 1, the Pisces, and Saturn in Pisces coming up, all that stuff is going to be on your ascendant, activating your rising sign. And it's going to be an interesting time for you. But you're ready for it. And, and I wish you all the best. So just wanted to say that real quick.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. I don't know if you can see Sarah's messages, but she says, "Oh my God, Eric, yes, LOL. I meditate on this today, actually, and made an energetic force field for myself and my energy."
That's beautiful. Yeah, you're gonna walk into this great. But give yourself some grace and understand that, you really, Pisces risings, Billie Eilish, Demi Moore, Michael Jackson, but there's a purity that you guys have, and you see the world with such magic and love. But understand the world's not always ready for you and that energy. So people will tend to want to take advantage of it, like energy vampires. And always guard and protect your energy, please. So
you're so wonderful. Thank you so much, Eric.
Lovely. This was so much fun. God, we were on here forever, but it didn't even faze me.
It don't even feel like it. It feels like
I know. That's the magic that we make, girl. So
thank you so much.
I look forward to connecting with you again soon in 2023, maybe around that March 7th time.
My birthday.
We could throw that on. When is your birthday?
March 8th.
Oh my God.
I know. I am really looking forward to that Saturn transit because I love Saturn, and Pisces is my packed house. So I'm really looking forward. I love Saturn transits. I don't care what anybody says. Because I really like that, like, make it real, bring it into physical reality, make it something that everybody can see. So it's not just floating around in the ethereal planes,
Yeah, grounded down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll make a tentative date around your birthday and around the Saturn and Pisces time, March 7th.
That would be fun.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, my friend. This has been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you to the audience. God bless you guys. Hey, please come subscribe to my channel, Tailored to You Astrology on YouTube. And I appreciate everybody. And have a beautiful new year and a safe holiday season.
All right. Well, thank you all. And I'll see you again soon.